Welcome to Hidden Chapters, where we reveal the strange, dark, and mysterious stories hidden beneath the surface. Winter's white blanket can be beautiful, but it also hides secrets, muffles cries, and conceals horrors. Tonight, we journey into the chilling silence of winter, where isolation breeds terror, and the snow veils what should never be seen. We'll find a boy where no boy should be, follow the phantom lights of a plow that serves no living soul, and glimpse a visitor who defies all logic. These are the stories buried by the snow, whispered long after the thaw. Stoke the fire, lock your doors, and get ready for the hidden chapters of winter. Our first story takes us deep into rural Vermont, a place where winters are not just cold, but relentless, where the world can vanish beneath a blizzard's white fury, and the silence outside is broken only by the wind's howl. Mark, a restless teenager, found himself trapped indoors with his family during the worst storm in a decade. The power flickered, then died, plunging the house into darkness, leaving only the flickering candlelight and the crackle of the fireplace to keep the shadows at bay. Bored and restless, Mark gazed out the frosted back door, peering into the swirling snow and the dark woods beyond, searching for any sign of movement or life. For a brief moment, the wind eased, and Mark's eyes caught something impossible. A boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, perched high in the branches of a massive oak tree, as if he'd always belonged there. The boy wore an old-fashioned, tattered coat, with no hat or gloves to shield him from the deadly cold. He sat 30 feet up, perfectly still, as if the freezing wind and snow meant nothing to him. Mark blinked, rubbing his eyes, convinced he was imagining things. But when he looked again, the boy was still there, unmoving, watching. Mark called his dad, who, skeptical but concerned, grabbed a flashlight and shone it into the storm. The beam found the boy, pale, motionless, and staring directly at the house with an intensity that sent chills down Mark's spine. Then, slowly, the boy smiled. It was wide, unnatural, a predator's grin that seemed to stretch too far, as if it belonged to something else entirely. Mark's dad, a former EMT who'd seen his share of emergencies, rushed outside, determined to help. He shouted into the storm, calling to the boy, but the child didn't move or respond, just kept staring. The wind howled louder, rattling the branches. Suddenly, the boy's head tilted at an impossible angle, a sharp crack echoing through the storm, as if his neck had snapped. Mark's dad froze, realization dawning that this was no lost child, but something far more sinister. As he backed away, heart pounding, the boy slowly raised a hand and waved, a slow, mocking gesture that felt more like a warning than a greeting. Suddenly, a wall of snow swept between the house and the tree, blinding Mark and his father, erasing the boy from sight in an instant. When the gust finally passed, Mark's dad stumbled back inside, face pale and eyes wide with shock. The tree outside was empty. The boy had vanished as if he'd never been there at all. The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving a silent, frozen world behind. Mark and his dad ventured out, searching for any sign of the mysterious boy. The snow around the tree was untouched. No footprints except for his father's, but beneath the branch where the boy had sat, a single drop of blood stained the snow. A sparse, winding trail of red led into the woods and disappeared among the trees, as if something had been dragged away. No missing child was ever reported. No one came looking, and no one in town claimed to know anything about a boy in an old coat. Mark's dad was never the same after that night, quieter, haunted, always watching that tree from the window as if expecting something to return. The boy in the tree was never seen again. Only a nightmare memory and a few drops of blood remained to remind them of that night. Some things, it seems, are brought in by the storm, leaving behind only questions, fear, and the chilling certainty that not everything in the woods is meant to be found. Our next tale is an urban legend from the snowy, windswept plains of North Dakota, where winter storms can turn even the most familiar highways into treacherous, icy traps. Out here, the cold is relentless, and the snow never seems to stop falling, blanketing the world in white and swallowing up the horizon. State Trooper David was patrolling a deserted stretch of I-94 during a blizzard when a frantic call came in. A driver, stranded in a ditch, claimed a massive snowplow had just sped past, too fast, and without stopping to help. But all plows had been ordered off the roads hours earlier. None should be out. The roads were officially closed, and the storm was only getting worse. David radioed dispatch, his voice tense. They confirmed no plows were operating anywhere in the county. Then, through the swirling whiteout, David saw it. High-mounted headlights, flashing amber lights, and the unmistakable hulking shape of a huge county plow barreling down the opposite lane, its blade throwing snow in great arcs. It thundered past, engine roaring, vanishing into the heart of the storm. David spun his cruiser around to follow, but the plow's lights faded and disappeared into the swirling snow. He found only fresh, massive tire tracks leading off the highway and into the dark woods, as if the plow had simply driven away from the world. He followed on foot, snow waist-deep and biting cold, until he found the plow, old, rusted, half-buried, and cold as the grave. It looked abandoned for years, untouched by time or rescue. The cab was empty, the engine dead, no footprints but his own in the deep snow. Dispatch checked the records. 10 years ago, a plow operator vanished during a blizzard on that very stretch of road. His truck was found crashed in the woods just like this one. He was never found, and the case was left unsolved, a mystery frozen in time. David realized he'd seen a ghost, an impossible plow, forever running its final route through the storm, doomed to repeat its last journey on nights when the snow falls hardest. Other troopers have seen it too, a rogue plow, lights blazing, clearing a road that can never truly be cleared. Some things, once lost to the snow, don't stay lost forever. Sometimes they come back, driven by duty, or perhaps by something darker, haunting the endless winter night. Our final story brings the terror right to your doorstep. In a quiet Ohio suburb, on a bitter January night, when the world outside is silent and the cold seems to seep into your bones. Sarah, home from college for winter break, was up late studying for her exams. The house was silent, her family asleep. The only sound, the faint hum of the heater fighting the chill. She glanced out her bedroom window, expecting only darkness and snow, and froze. A man stood in the middle of her snow-covered lawn, perfectly still, staring at the house as if he'd been waiting for her to notice. He wore summer clothes, no coat, no hat, no gloves, despite the freezing cold. His bare arms and legs looked out of place, almost unreal against the white snow. Sarah ducked below the windowsill, heart pounding in her chest. Was he lost, drunk, or was something more sinister at play? He didn't move or call for help. He just stood there, rigid, staring, as if frozen in time. Curiosity, mixed with dread, overcame her fear. She peeked again. He was still there, illuminated by the streetlight, skin pale, almost bluish, posture unnatural, head tilted as if listening for something only he could hear. She felt certain he was staring directly at her window, his gaze unwavering, as if he could see her through the darkness and glass. Panic rising, she retreated, debating whether to wake her parents. But what would she say? Would they even believe her, or just dismiss it as a nightmare or a trick of the light? After agonizing minutes, she looked again. The lawn was empty. Relief flooded her, until she saw him again, now across the street, pressed against her neighbor's porch, staring at their door as if searching for a way inside. He hadn't left. He was waiting, watching. His presence felt deliberate, almost predatory, as if he was drawn to the warmth and life inside the houses. Sarah grabbed her phone to call 911, but as she watched, the man slowly turned his head and looked straight at her window, locking eyes with her from across the street. Even from a distance, she saw his face, gaunt, hollow-cheeked, eyes like empty sockets, mouth open in a silent scream. It was a face that didn't seem quite human, twisted by cold or something far worse. Paralyzed with terror, she dropped her phone and hid under the covers, trembling until dawn, every creak of the house making her flinch, afraid he might somehow find a way inside. When morning came, the street was empty. The snow was untouched, no footprints, no sign anyone had been there. It was as if the night's horror had melted away with the darkness. Sarah never told her parents, but she'll never forget the frozen man, dressed for summer, standing in the snow, leaving no trace. The memory haunts her, a chilling reminder that some things can't be explained. Was he a ghost, a harbinger, or something else entirely? Sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones you see from the safety of your own window, because you never know if they're looking back. The snow melts, the sun returns, but the memories linger. A boy in a tree, a phantom plow, a frozen man with no footprints. These stories remind us that winter's silence can hide more than beauty. It can conceal fear, isolation, and the unknown. What else waits out there, just beyond the glow of our windows? The world is full of hidden chapters, and the deeper you dig, the more you realize how little we know about the shadows at the edge of our perception. Thank you for joining me in the winter's darkness. If you want more strange, dark, and mysterious tales, subscribe to Hidden Chapters. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chilling account. Stay safe, and check your yard before you go to bed.